Greetings, programs, and welcome to the last of my backlog. And this time it's a relatively recent game. In fact, it's a very recently released game, Age of Wonders Planetfall. Now, this is a Paradox published game. I actually got this as a review code, and I am not familiar at all with this series. In the lead up to this game being released, Paradox did, in fact, as a freebie, give away Age of Wonders 3 on Steam, so I've got that in my library as well. I've played a couple of hours of that on top of what I've played of this. But otherwise, it's my first exposure to the series as a whole, and I have to say, it's interesting, but it hasn't really grabbed me as somebody that's played a bunch of turn-based strategy games in the past, particularly the Civilization series. I've been playing the Civ series since I haven't been gaming quite long enough to have been playing since the original Civilization came out, although I have played the original Civilization as a re-release in the late 90s, early 2000s, but at least since Civilization 2. Which I had for the PlayStation of all platforms, and in the later games it would take a really long time between turns because, you know, the PlayStation seemed wonderful at the time, but compared to today's hardware, it's not very powerful. When you're spending literally 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes between turns, yeah, it was a good chance to catch up on my reading while I was playing. It was a bit of an odd experience for a strategy game. It required a lot of patience. So, Age of Wonders, as I've said, it's a turn-based strategy game series. Planetfall, in particular, you can tell just from the screens flashing up here, it's very much a sci-fi themed game, whereas the others have been, I think, all fantasy themed. I'm not actually sure. I haven't checked out the entire rest of the series, but the actual mechanics between this and Age of Wonders 3 do seem to be pretty similar. So if you've played any of the previous games, you will certainly be immediately comfortable with it, mechanically speaking, although of course the campaign is rather different. In terms of how it plays to somebody that hasn't actually played the series before, though, we'll actually go with, let's say, just click the new campaign button and we can see what's what.
The currents of the void shift around me.
I think we'll just skip this bit. It feels like a relatively lightweight turn-based strategy, but it has some tactical battle elements mixed in. So it's not really on the level of the Total War series, nothing like that, where you've got the mix of the turn-based strategy map and then the actual real-time battles. No, these are fully turn-based, fairly small-scale hex tile battles, and we'll presumably... I will try and show you what the actual battles are like. It actually mostly reminds me of either the old Imperialism games, which had a similar turn-based tile battle system, or maybe something like the Panzer General, that whole series where you had again hex-based turn-based battles. So it's kind of a mix of genres, this game. And when I say it's kind of a lightweight turn-based strategy, I don't really mean that in a bad way. I mean, for me, it hasn't had that one more turn kind of impulse that you get when playing some of the Civilization games, but it does have some elements that I very much like, and in fact I'll get to show you a couple of those even before we've really started. So there doesn't really seem to be like a free play mode, unless it's the scenario mode. It might be. I think that is actually the scenario mode, but there's, as you can see, various campaigns as well. The premise of this game, I don't know why I'm struggling for words there. Game's maybe not quite the word I want, but the premise of the story how about I put it that way, is that there's been this big galactic federation type government that's collapsed, much like, in fact, the Mech Warrior universe. That's the major part of the backstory of Mech Warrior, is the fragmentation of the universe. And so you can start off with well, we might even just do the tutorial to start with, but you can start off with kind of like the Goody Two Shoes faction. You've got a kind of more psionic faction, and then you've got these guys who are basically Russian space dwarfs. The other factions / campaigns you don't actually get to play until presumably you've completed the earlier campaigns, but it does at least give you a bit of an option to like, it's not just you must play each one of them in order. No, you've actually got 3 to start off with. So we'll start off with the humans, Jack Gilder. We'll actually do the tutorial where it explains the mechanics, but there is some nice options going on here. It's a little like, I know I'm very bad at this. I'm always constantly bringing in other games, but this is how my brain works, I suppose. It's a bit like the revamped Master of Orion, where you get to basically customize the races. And although it might well be the same, like species portrait and the rest, you can essentially create an entirely new experience playing. It's not maybe quite that comprehensive, but you can still make some quite important tweaks. So as you can see, it's the usual Paradox points-based system that you find in Stellaris and EU and other games. So you can basically pick various positive and negative things. So if I pick a negative thing, it'll obviously have a bad downside, but it'll give me more points that I could potentially put into a positive thing. So we might actually do that. Yeah, let's go for reduced. Or do we want reduced food? I want one of the ones that gives minus 10%. I think we'll go with the reduced science. 10% is not a big hit. That gives me 2 points to put into. What do we want to go for? This is all research stuff. So I can lower my overall research, but increase my specific research. We also get some side benefits as well. Rewards from pickups are increased. Once a turn, when your commander kills a unit in combat, they immediately gain 1 action point. That's quite a powerful one. I think we'll just go with that, and we'll take the veteran one as well. All units start with 15. They gain 15% experience faster. Oh, we can only take one of these. Oh, that's a bummer. Okay, you can only take 1 background, apparently. Let's just go with that. Let's go with the skilled diplomat. And can I choose like a more expensive one? I don't know. Let's go with support vehicles. And do we want to go with the rest of the... Yeah, you kind of get some starting bonuses. You get the different techs that you can start with, and bonuses to the different military techs. And this one just seems to be mostly technology research bonuses, but there's some other nice ones there as well. So yeah, you can do that. You've also actually got full commander portrait customization. We'll just randomize and see if we get something particularly cool looking. Oh, can we get a... Actually, can we get a... Is it always a... I guess this is always a... Oh, no, there we go. Let's go. Let's have a badass female commander. Because why not? Some of the... there's quite a wide variety of options here. Right, I like her. We'll give her a different uniform, but yeah. Oh, cape. You can have a cape. Okay, we need a swishy cape. Obviously, that's very important. I mean, this is completely silly. It's doesn't really do anything in terms of playability, but it's nice to have these options. Okay, that's the actual uniforms. Chunky armor. We want one kind of bandolier look. I like that one. Can change the colours a bit as well. Yeah, there really is a lot of customizability here. Let's stick with the green. The green's fine. So you can even just change what you actually want the unit portrait to look like, which is fine, and just randomize. There we go. Jill Harker.
Commander's personal record. Vanguard.
And there's even a female voice line
Cycle
reading.
No casualties.
So that's quite good. So yeah, it's quite a quick collapse because you start off with this tutorial and
time to contact Vanguard Central.
Basically we've been sent to this star system and it seems to have gone a bit wrong, and what will happen is you head back to home space and you find that somehow in the space of 5 years the entire galactic everything has collapsed. And that's basically the theme of all the separate campaigns. You've got all these different factions that were previously part of this Star Alliance, all competing to, come out on top, essentially. But let's have a look at the actual mechanics of playing the game. Now, one of the core features of this is that you... here we go, here's our first objective, and the campaign is very heavily objective based, some of which are dynamically generated and others which are to do with the story as it goes along, but yeah, one of the core mechanics is hero units essentially alongside your regular military units. So we started off with a full army plus like a scout army. So it wants me to meet a faction, find crashed alien ship, and Tapples, who is a named robot unit, has just decided to go AWOL. So yeah, and because we started off with that perk, our commander actually starts off mounted in a vehicle, which is one of the nice little features of this game. Like the hero units can actually become mounted. Which is a thing that you can do in the Total War, some of the Total War games as well. Well, you can Total War Warhammer. I don't know about the other ones, but you can have a mount, a steed of various kinds for your commander, which obviously vastly increases the rate at which they can move around the battlefield. So the actual playing area is divided up into these sectors. It's not quite as free as, say, Civilization, where you can found new colonies anywhere. You can found one colony per sector, and it's in a fixed location, and each sector has certain bonuses to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to first go down and meet these guys here, who are at the moment an unknown neutral faction. But we also have to set production for our initial colony, and as you can see we've got a couple of options. So we could go with another one of these scout droid units, and there's a whole different roster of units. We've got some central facilities, and these are a way of specialising your initial production, although you more specialise in terms of what you do with the sectors later on. But we'll go with, I think, food to start with, although we're doing alright actually. Maybe we should go with energy to start with. Yeah, let's go with central reactor core. We haven't annexed any sectors, and you can see your production here. You can actually, if you want to put more into certain areas, it'll distribute the population. It's fairly, like the actual, all this is fairly behind the scenes. You can specialise cities in certain ways, but I've tended just to leave the game to its own devices in that regard. So we've got that going, and then what we'll do is we'll actually build another, let's say another 2 of these fairly cheap units and end the turn there. So we're going to meet the remnants of the people we left behind, and they're not too impressed to see us. So even, in fact, having said, in the 5 years you go back, it seems even... Maybe it's almost like a kind of Asimov's Empire thing going on, where there's been a gradual collapse that's been going on for a while, because you arrive at this planet and apparently it's started to collapse into barbarism, which was, a pretty central theme of the Empire books. So there's 2 main options for dealing with basically all the other factions that you might meet. You can take the military route and smash them, or you can take the diplomatic route, and that seems to be how you basically win the campaigns. It's a bit more limited in terms of that, rather than, compared to the Civ series, where you've got your cultural, your economic, your diplomatic, your military, and so forth victories. There are really only the 2 main routes that I can see so far, because I've not played the campaign, any of the bits of the campaign through to completion. So we're going to explore a bit. Some more units there, and here we go. Here's some non-friendly native life forms. So this is a pickup pod thing. You find them various, scattered around the place, and they have various things that can come out of them. So Hugh wants to trade us an item. We can gain 20 food, or we can just shoot him. You can be a dick if you want to. You can just declare war on everybody and just be a massive dick, and that is an option. But in this case, we'll trade and see what we get, because one of the things you can do with your units, and it's not just your hero units, it's all units, is actually modify them. You can customize them to do various things, but it doesn't seem like we've actually been... I thought we would be given an actual mod there, but apparently that wasn't what that was, unless just none of those units can use it. No, we don't have any available at the moment. Now, the game that this really reminds me of, and I know I'm doing it again, but the game this really reminds me of is Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, where unit customization was a really big deal. And it does it a bit differently than Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, but yeah, it's essentially the same thought going into it as Smack, in that you can customize units to meet certain needs. There's 2 types of research tree, by the way. You've got your military and society, which is not unlike Civ 6 with its main tech tree, and then your civics research at the same time. But it's a neat way of just splitting things up, so you're not having to choose between the different branches. So we'll send this unit off over... That usually indicates there's some kind of unit that's been... Yeah, there we go. So they're marauders. We should... Well, we'll see. 345 versus 300. This might be quite a close fight. Now, you do get this negotiate option if it's a faction that is, obviously not wildlife. You can potentially bribe them not to fight you, or if it's just like lone marauders. But in this case, you can't. Now, we'll choose manual combat, obviously, but you can also just hit auto combat and it will resolve it all for you much quicker than obviously you could play yourself. But that wouldn't really do for demonstration purposes now, would it? So here we are, much like much like the Total War series, much like the XCOM kind of style of combat. You've got various bits of terrain you can use, so that matters quite a great deal. So we're going to try and use that to our advantage. And you've got limited movement per turn. You've got limited amount of like attacks and things you can do per turn as well. And as these are flying units, as you can see, they have slightly different rules for the ground ones. So I think we are okay. We can do a little bit more movement. There's kind of two radii of movement because it's entirely based on action points, which govern, you know, you can either move twice or you can move and fire or you can just fire, I think. Right, I think we're done for... wait, do I have to... Don't think I can hit anything from here. No, let's just... Oh yeah, that's right. I need to like stick them on defend or overwatch or whatever. I don't know if I've got overwatch on any of these. Targeting field. No, they're not in range either. So all the units have different abilities potentially, and the customization that I kind of hinted at earlier really does increase the range of abilities that your units can have quite dramatically. Now this is quite a close fight in terms of the power levels, so we'll just go with... There we go. Just go with an attack. Okay. And attacks can be accompanied by like a counter attack as well.
Enemy killed.
So there we go, that's one down. And I don't think we've got any more movement at this point. We'll move them there. Yes. Don't have any attacks or anything left. So I think they might be ranged. Guess we'll see. Yes, they are. Well, let's focus as they've split themselves apart. Let's just focus. And can we use a special ability here? It's grenades. I don't know if I've actually got the... Right, if we throw a grenade there... Oh, it's right click. I keep forgetting it's right click. And they took a little bit of damage, I think. And there are flanking rules in place as well, so stuff like that does matter. Alright, that's only going to give me a 45% hit. 90% hit, there we go. Which is, it's very hit-con, the way it gives you the actual damage chances. So right, here we go. We've killed 2 out of 3. We've managed to... Oh, it's not quite dead yet, but it will be soon. And, you know, having split them apart has made this a lot easier rather than if I tried to hit them all at once. So let's use that to finish off that.
Enemy killed.
And I don't think you're going to be able to fire from there, are you? What's supposed to be an APC? It doesn't have a huge movement range, but it's right click to attack, for goodness sake, brain. It's not that hard to remember. That's a really solid hit. Let's just bring them up alongside and zap, zap, zap. And of course, as you go through battles like this, whether played yourself or auto-resolved, the individual units will also gain experience. Oh, I didn't... Oh, that was that. Okay, I didn't mean to, you know... But obviously this unit had an ability whereby moving out of its zone of control meant it could attack. So I took a bit more damage there than I really needed to, but never mind. So they've gained some damage. I've gotten some science, which is one of the income pools that you have. You've also got Cosmite, which is kind of, I don't know. In Age of Wonders 3 you had like a mana pool, and I guess that's the equivalent of that. And then energy is basically your currency, which is maybe not too surprising. Now what I'll do... Oh, we're actually out of boosts there. Yeah, what we'll do is we'll just auto-resolve that fight. We're not going to play all of them through. We'll just play through the tutorial basically, and I think I'll wrap the video up after that point. Right, so basically they want us to kill some... is it just hostile units? Why do I keep clicking when it's... For goodness sake. I'm really, you know, I'm showing myself up as being so good at games right now. So here we go. We're vastly more powerful than this group, so we'll just auto-combat. Take them out. And we've gained a colonist out for a maximum of 16 that we can have. I think... Can you build more housing space? I'm not actually sure. We've also got... one more turn till our building queue is finished, so we'll build a military building that lets us look at build other better units. Right, I think that's the unit it wants me to actually take out. This is one of these randomly given quests, and there's actually a timer on that one. Right, let's take a look up at this pile, and that's 32 production. I think Tapples might be over here. Now, I have played through the tutorial before, but the map actually looks different. So I will say, even within the campaigns, it appears there is a bit of randomization. It's not fixed maps. So even playing the same campaign over, it might be a slightly different experience, but it won't necessarily be that different. Because it's still going to be the same factions, it's just things are going to be in a different place. So I joined that army up there, and we can annex our first sector actually, so let's have a little zoom out and see which one we want. We probably want to hold on to get this. This sector here looks pretty good as well. That'll give us a pretty nice energy boost. So yeah, we'll do that. So let's also let's move them first. These scout units have quite a good range. They're not particularly tough, but okay, so basically this is like an abandoned facility. We found Tapples, and we'll take the reward, which is some research and production. You can also, and this is an interesting little feature, you can also sell your rewards. If you're hard up on cash and you get a reward, you can just choose to sell it for a bit of energy. So we found Tapples, but we actually have to go into the port building area thing and actually see what's there. And I don't think we've got enough to actually attack this turn, but yeah.
Quantum-powered
Right,
molecular
research.
machines are not magic, they're science. But
So this is our first potential mod that we can have. So we might even be able to do that. Here we go. So yeah, you just buy the mods basically, but sometimes the game will give you them as rewards as well. And you can also even, I didn't even point this out earlier, you can change the loadout of your commanders as well. So we could actually go for an assault bike instead of the current APC, which would have better damage, but I'm trying to see if it would be less. No, that looks like it would just be better. It's less health, but it has better armor, better movement, better damage. I might even do that actually. So we spend some energy on that, and then we'll also give them this particular unit, the nanite injectors. And you can see a total of 91 energy, 8 cosmite, which we can certainly afford, so we'll do that. You can see there the commando actually in the little assault bike, and you can do that with basically every unit. Now you can't put every kind of mod on every unit, but you know, having these nanite injectors on your hero units, for example, is certainly a very, very useful thing to do, because it means they're that much more resilient in a fight.
Vanguard are better suited for a more self-reliant life on the frontier. Big city rules and civilian luxuries make a fighter like me soft around the middle. On the frontier, a soft middle makes an easy target.
This is one of the things.
Slade, Vanguard infantry.
This is one of the things I like about this game. It really does give me flashbacks to, again, Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, where you had all of the voiced, the little the text snippets that came with the technologies. But of course, you know, the Civ games do that as well. And other games have you know, they voice these lines also. But it's a nice touch. It gives it a bit of flavour. Now this is an area we haven't looked at yet. In addition to all the other things you could do, this is essentially your kind of almost your espionage screen, but not really. It's a lot wider than that. You can basically spend energy to do various things in the background. So in this case, we've unlocked these two doctrines, and we can let's see, we put this doctrine into place. The production cost of all units will be reduced by 10%, so that's not half bad. And the other one available is plus 15 food in all colonies. Now, as I know how the tutorial scenario is going to go, we'll actually go with this. But there's a whole other list besides, and when you actually spend energy on one of these things, you're not actually going to get it right away. You have to prime it before you can activate it. So you can build a stockpile of different abilities that you can use as needed. So it's not like you have to judge with the lead-in time, because you know this is going to take 2 turns, for instance. It's not like you have to judge when you're going to need things exactly. So this is another nice little feature of the game. You can build this stockpile of different abilities to use at different times. So let's go for this. And again, this is going to be a nice, easy win. And we actually lost some units there. So this is the downside. It's a bit like auto-resolving in the Total War games. It might be, you know, in terms of winning or losing, it might be the same result, but you might end up losing more troops if you just auto-resolve constantly. So for some fights, it's probably better to do it manually, but it's certainly a heck of a lot quicker to just auto-resolve. So a bit more story. And was I saying 5 years? I think it's 5 years going back to where you head back to, but heading out to this planet was apparently nearly 200 years, so I completely misread that the first time I played through the tutorial. Anyway, so yeah, in the 200 years, okay, that makes more sense that things could collapse so thoroughly compared to in 5 years. So this was like, I don't know if this was supposed to be like a garrison world or whatever, but yeah, it seems to be basically just the soldiers that are left in the various factions.
Completed.
So we actually got a unit out of that, which is quite useful, and we can replenish our loss partly with this unit that they've given us, because there's various faction specific units, but we can also do we want to, well we'll leave that for now. Actually, that's although, well, having said that, we don't need to. We've got enough energy to support more units. Let's build another Vanguard. We can't replace the scout bike that we lost, but we can build a Vanguard. Right, so we have found this landmark location. There are certain specific bonuses that you get from different landmarks, and as you can see, if we take that, we'll get some fairly hefty production and energy bonuses, and we get a spaceship maintenance bay available for building. But we have to take out these drones here, and as this is a fairly close one, although I possibly should have waited because the commander wasn't healed, but never mind, too late now. I can't back out of the fight. Yeah, you have to pay attention to your unit health, which I wasn't doing so much there. We'll have to hang the commander back though. So these are some rogue cleaning drones apparently. And the models are very cutesy. I mean, it's not gone for super realism or anything, but the aesthetic of the game works pretty well, I think. So let's get the commander into... Oh, that's not the commander we have selected, but never mind. And these ones can just fly over obstacles. Right, so you can see there that commander will be in cover. That's obviously destructible cover. Not all cover is destructible. We'll just do the same thing we did last time, is try and pick them off singly. Right, I don't know if we have any specific abilities, but we can put them in defensive mode. We can actually use the nanite injectors, so it's a good thing we took those. We actually have a bit more health than we did. And defensive mode, and defensive mode. Defensive mode, right.
Operations available.
So that one there looks like more of a support unit. We can actually maybe click to see what their abilities are. Okay. So that's granting the other units a bonus. This appears to be like a artillery unit, and this is the oh, this can explode. So I should possibly try and take out the nasty explodey looking thing first. Right, do we have... No, that's really quite far out of range at the moment. Let's rotate the battlefield a little. Fly my units over to the flank, which, you know, the obvious advantage of flying units is they can just easily skip around the place, but the disadvantage is they don't ever get to take cover behind things. So you've got to be careful with them. I really wish I had an Overwatch ability though, but I don't think this commander has that particular ability, so we do have the targeting field. Right, so I don't know if that's cumulative, but it's right click, you fool! For goodness sake, I am so good at games. I am so good at games. Right, so that works for 2 turns. Let's just try... Do we have another one that's in range that can do that? No, I don't believe we do. So yeah, you have very support abilities as well. It's important not to neglect those. Oh, okay, they can kind of like supply drop in extra health. Interesting. That was a miss. Oh, that's getting a bit close. Right, let's first... What have we got? Focused laser array. Knock back light units, but that's not going to be a light unit. And we've also got a wide laser array. I guess we'll do the one that's slightly higher. You can see there the likely amount of damage if it hits. Which it did. So where the bonuses from targeting come in. No, I didn't want to attack that. Oh, Gordon Bennett. Okay, I wanted to hover over it, but apparently can't do that. Whoops. Okay, never mind. It's fine. I'm sure that won't bite me in the ass. But they're not the most accurate units. Actually, let's float this back over here. Right, we've inflicted some reasonably big chunks of damage. Oh no! No, 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 no! No, 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 no! Okay, it blew itself up, but that did a fair old whack of damage to the... Oh dear! And they died. Okay. Oh, if they're in a vehicle, they get to bail out. Oh, that's neat. Okay, I didn't know that. We learned a thing. But yeah, she's still like super duper screwed. So let's pull her back and I don't think we can repair our completely wrecked thing, but we can at least use the nanite injectors. So thank goodness I purchased those. Right. Oh, we don't have a line of sight on the laser doodads. Go for them next. Right, if I explode that red marked car, I think that operates in the same way as a grenade. I think that has like an area of effect damage. Sometimes with the aerial units it's a little bit hard to, because the place where you're not clicking on the ground to click on them, so the kind of action area for where you're clicking is sometimes, it obscures where you actually then want to click on the ground. It's a little bit of a faddle, but seeing as how you can rotate around the place. Right, there we go. So that actually knocked one of them out. And zap, 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 zap.
Enemy destroyed.
So we haven't actually lost any units this turn. We just lost some energy in terms of I'm going to have to rebuy the thingy bike. And if we lose one of these cheapo, let's actually use the targeting field on that, and then the other three will get a bonus. Okay. Sappity sappity. Oh, boom, there we go.
Down.
So that wasn't entirely, you know, a smooth encounter, but it was mostly my own fault. It's fine. And hooray, we also found Tapples, a pet robot dog thing. Although it's more like a, I don't know, it's more like a bug of some kind. I don't know. Right, anyway, so, drone deployment module laser. That's an additional thing we can get. And we've finished research. We'll just keep researching along the bottom. Is that the one we built? I think that's the one we built. That's not the named unit that is Tapples. Let's also check out the... okay, we can now get flechette ammo. And I was kind of wondering if it might be... Oh, there's the thing I was confused about before. So Malady, that's the item that we traded for. So that's a named weapon. Tier 3. Which looks pretty decent, actually. As this is more of an infantry-based unit, maybe we'll equip that. That's fine, we'll keep the grenade for now. Confirm loadout. So they've got a pretty sweet looking sniper rifle. And where is Tapples? I don't know. Aquatic deployment, well that's completely useless because we don't have any oceans on this, but anyway. Well, this one will be useful though, that gets us our colonizer unit. Right, upgrade your hero. So because we successfully survived in a totally planned and skillful fashion, they've now leveled up, so we get to spend some points. Is that the one we want? Heavy ground units. I'm sure there's one that lets you get a bonus for having droids. Not sure. But yeah, the abilities, the upgrades you get can be pretty powerful, some of them. So, range specialist perhaps? All air units. This one actually might be quite useful, because I'm pretty sure these count as air units. Or do they not? Light units, scouts. I don't think they do count as air units. +2 resistance to damage when in cover. That might be quite useful. Expert field medicine heals all friendly units for 6. Let's go for that, and then we'd have 1 skill point left over, but I don't think we can actually spend that on anything right now. And we can also... Oh, in fact, we've got the 2 APCs in... Do they have the exact same amount of health? I thought one of them had more health. That's got more... We'll rebuy a skirmisher bike, because that's got more range to it. So this can be like our scout army. Right, so orders required. Where does it want us to investigate next? Find the alien ship. I think that might be what that is up there. I mean, there's not a lot of like there's some, you know, exploration, but it basically tells you where things are. So you're not entirely just wandering around the place blind. So I've got mixed feelings about that. You know, it's both a good thing and a bad thing. In that, we've auto-annexed this sector, right? And oh, I don't know if that's actually Tapples or not, but we're going to bring up that wee guy to reinforce. Is that then Tapples? Yes, that's Tapples. That's the named one. Yeah, we're going to reinforce this army with another mechanical unit. Orders required. So we're just going to tell them to wait a turn. We can now also produce something else here. Right, we'll take that one. More experience for starting units. Message from the Paragon faction. Right, what do they want us to do? Okay, kill some more things. We can actually just about get there. Everyone's fully healed at this point. Does that count as... I think it does. No. Okay, I guess that doesn't count as a regular sector annexation. So we were going to try and annex this sector anyway. So we'll move up here and get District Park. There's also some things to fight there as well. I don't think we've got enough energy to get another army on the go yet. But what I can do is I can spend some of the energy I have to, say, upgrade these vanguards that I picked up. I'll actually give them some nanite injectors. And what this does, just like Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri that I mentioned earlier, it basically creates a new type of unit. Now, if you are able to build that unit, that then adds it to your construction list back at the base. But in this case, I mean, it's going to create the new type of unit based on the Vanguard template, but we won't be able to produce any more of them. So let's do that. It usually kind of vaguely themes the name to their increased ability. 440. power 685. Let's take the risk and do auto combat. Oh, okay, they all died.
Objective
Okay,
complete.
apart from the commander. Rip. So we're going to have to rebuild that army. Never mind, we should have auto done that one. So let's... I'm going to keep this one a fairly fast army. Just cheap units. Right, we'll actually wait a turn because one of those units is out of commission while they're upgrading. You can just do that on the fly anywhere. I really like this feature of the game. It's probably one of my favourite features of the game. And we have double the combat. So there we go. We've actually lost one of the Vanguard troopers, but that's fine. And we can then annex District Park. Now, this has actually been claimed by another faction. It doesn't automatically mean that they'll go to war with you, but it does worsen their relations with you. And it's different from a faction that's already a sector that's already been built on by another faction. So some factions some sectors are totally unclaimed, but others you do sometimes have to balance trying to play nice versus taking sectors that have valuable resources. But in this case, we will take it.
There is no obstacle I
So this
cannot
one's quite a
pass
useful
through
mod
with
if
my
I remember
harmonic phase
correctly.
modulator. Matter doesn't matter. Who would suppose that?
Basically a nice little defensive module. Engineering core, that would give us a new kind of unit. As with that, and these are both better modules. Echo Walkers, let's see what those do. Oh, we've actually picked up a new hero that wants to join us, but we can't in fact afford him just yet. You do randomly pick up potential new heroes. I don't know if there's any way to like hire them. Area surveillance, let's just do that in sequence, and we can also upgrade this commander. And we'll take infantry commander because they're more commanding, you know, a bunch of infantry, so they'll get a nice damage bonus. And oh yeah, we can't spend that one skill point yet, so that's fine. Orders required. Yeah, we're just going to bring them back there for the time being until we can reinforce that army a bit, because that fight was a bit on the tough side. Because the scout units are fast but not particularly punchy. So we've met another faction who apparently she recognises, even though it's been like 200 years, so apparently they have the ability to live a really long time. But they're all a little bit paranoid. This is her nephew? So here we go, the diplomatic option or the military option. And it's saying you can also wait for another opportunity to present itself, but we'll do that. We'll play nice and go for the Diplo option. So, repair station. Search repair station so we can find anything. Oh, this is the actual story thing we need to find. Wow, her family was super paranoid. They installed tracking devices on these things. Okay, so it wasn't in the repair station, but we have to go and... oh, maybe it was, but we then have to go and kill those nasty looking aliens. Well, we'll take out these marauders first. We'll auto-combat that, and we didn't actually lose anything that time, which is quite nice. And as your units gain in power... Here we go, we'll recruit that hero. Well, actually, I want to put them in that I can use them as the basis of a new army. Actually, that's an infantry unit. We'll put them over in that army. Or I could just merge them with her. And he's got some kind of ethereal spear. So he is purely melee. It's going to slow that that unit down a lot, but there we go. That'll fill that army out. So, okay, this is just a random demand. Accept demand. There we go. We can in fact have an alternative option there as well. But there's a lot of different. Like the game gives you a lot of options when it comes to how exactly you want to pursue things. So. Having started the video by saying it's fairly lightweight, there's still different ways of playing the game. There's still some replayability there. So these are the sectors we've got attached to the colony, and as you put down new colonies, they can annex new sectors. So that's how you gain territory, basically. Although there is also a way to. You can also kind of claim a sector yourself by putting an outpost on it, but you then don't get any benefit out of that sector. But in this case, because it's attached to a colony, we can, let's see, energy. We've got sources of everything in this sector. So we could either have production or energy. I think we're going to go with energy. So we'll produce that, and we'll also, people are a bit unhappy. You've got to manage your population. You've got to manage the drones. Well, this really isn't Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, but man, it does feel like it sometimes. So we'll build a recreation dome now that that's the thing we can build as well. So yeah, let's just link them up with that army. And back up to full strength. These guys are more kind of like assault specialists, and they can also deploy turrets. And I don't think we can actually afford to put any additional anything on them. And we can also annex another sector apparently. So while we're waiting for things to build, we could do with perhaps say a food production sector. How are we doing for food? Plus 14. Not too bad. We're not doing too bad, but yeah. Energy. Maybe we'll go for this mech component sector. Now what we can do, this is kind of occupied by the Paragon faction already, but you can spend your influence to say, can I have this sector plus? Oh, they're actually attacking me, so that's a good thing I moved my extra unit in there. This is going to be a close one, so let's manual combat this. This is definitely not one we want to auto-resolve. Man, this is turning into a long video. I don't remember the tutorial taking this long when I first played it, but on the other hand, I was not talking quite so much. So there's a whole bunch of obstacles in this one. What are our opponents? We actually have some energy pugs. Plus a weird centaur bug looking thing. Oh, that's nasty. How exactly it's persuaded a bunch of robots to fight with it, I have no idea, but there we go. So let's get Tapples forwards. I don't know if he's got any. He's got various support abilities. Let's just put him in defense mode. Right, the engineers we can set to maybe put down a turret. I guess there. It's right click. Come on, brain. So we can put the turret into Overwatch. Okay, that's grand. So anything that moves into that highlighted area will get shot at by the turret automatically. That's some bonus firepower, and everything else we're just going to move forward into cover. Or we might want to keep the commander a little bit back, just because A, they're the commander, and B, you know, they've got a big honking sniper laser rifle thing, so kind of geared more towards the purely ranged combat. So these Vanguard troopers all also have Overwatch, but we don't have enough action points to actually use it. We can put her in. There we go. Because we gave them the nanite injectors, we actually use that action to heal them up. And that's the turn. Okay. So, yeah, rather than move forwards, we're just going to use this as our defensive line. Nothing is quite in range at the moment, though, so we'll see what abilities we can... okay, so we can basically refresh abilities with that. That can heal a friendly unit for 25. That's quite powerful. We could also make a unit harder to hit for 2 turns, so we'll maybe even do that with that central Vanguard unit there. Engineers can't put down another turret, but if we refreshed their ability, we potentially could have them put down another turret, but otherwise I think let's just keep them in cover. Let's use Overwatch for her. They've got like shotguns. We've got to be careful about putting units next to exploding things, actually, so get some cover on that side, so let's leave them there for now. I think they're purely... We're going to have to wait for things to get closer. Just keep doing... Overwatch, Overwatch, Overwatch. So the first unit to step into that Overwatch, those overlapping zones, is going to get a nasty shock. So that's just buffed enemy units. And they're all obscuring each other. Well, apparently they're being super defensive as well. I'm kind of reluctant to move forward because, you know, I've set my turret up here. Maybe we can draw them out a bit? I don't know. Hope that they go for tapples and then blunder into this field of fire. I might just use that resupply ability on the engineers so we can put down another turret. Right, here we go. Right, Tapples is taking some fire. Oh, and he gets to leap. But, because he's leaped into the zone of everyone's Overwatch, he's going to get completely lapped. So Tapples has taken some heavy hits there, but the biggest, nastiest unit is... Oh gosh, yeah, look at that. It's getting really chewed up. So we want to move... Oh, Tapple's back, but he does get... somebody else had a heal ability, didn't they? I think we might have to have Tapples heal himself. It's kind of an awkward position, but never mind. Can get everybody else to shoot the crap out of the nasty bug centaur thing. Excellent. That just leaves
Enemy
us
killed.
with the pug whatchamacallit, and let's actually see if we can't get that truck to blow up. Daka, 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 daka. There we go. So that's done some nice chunky damage to that pug. That we'll just put back on Overwatch. The commander, we might be able to move up a bit, or can we... Has that exploded as much as it's going to explode? It might have. Let's move her out of cover a bit, and... defense, I guess. She can't really do much from there. Engineers, we don't need to have to do anything. Don't think they can do anything. So I'm playing this fairly cautiously. It's actually okay. They can heal each other. It's probably a good thing I killed the bug centaur when I did. This one's going for a sneaky flank, so we'll have to deal with that. Oof! Ouch. Right, hopefully this doesn't horribly backfire. Destroyed their cover. Don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or not. Right, we can kill... Oh, right, we didn't actually kill it, but we did do some damage. That can go daka daka daka. Well, that's at extreme range, so... doing a huge amount of damage. Let's get the spear guys a bit closer. Okay, they have absolutely no ranged attack whatsoever. It's a bit of a disadvantage, and... Daka 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 daka! Hopefully I'm not utterly and completely screwing this up, but, you know, we'll see. Right, I think that's the end of turn. This Vanguard unit here is vulnerable, but, you know, they're replaceable. Cannon fodder. So they healed themselves. We might try blowing up that thing behind them. Yeah, dealing 20 damage. That would be... Go. Decently chunky. If we successfully hit with a third, there we go. They're down.
Enemy down.
And I think we are just about winning this, so we'll actually move up the engineers so they're a bit closer. Have my spear boys go stabbity stab. Oh, and
Enemy
oh, there we go.
neutralized.
That was all that was needed. Weren't wholly successful, but successful enough. Daka 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 daka. Somebody who can't move the turret, but yeah, there's no way to do that. Once it's deployed, it's deployed. And okay, she can't really do anything from that point. I'll just have that be Overwatch in case it has a mad urge to dash into the middle of all of these guys. Oh, ouch. Okay. Curses, they're using my own tactics against me. How dare they? You can actually use that downed corpse as cover. That's quite neat. For zap, and we get a flanking bonus from that. We'll actually just withdraw that unit to safety. You know, you might as well preserve them so they can get the experience of actually surviving the game. And well, the engineers didn't quite finish the job, but never mind. We'll have the commander do it. Maybe. There we go.
Enemy killed.
And there we
Our
go.
forces are victorious.
Now, if we'd auto-resolved that, we probably would have lost some units. Okay, so we did have to defeat those units in order to trigger the next bit of this diplomatic quest.
Objective completed.
So, build some food sectors. So we're starting to get to the point where we need a new colony. I think what we'll do, I don't know if I'll even finish this entire tutorial because this is really starting to get to be quite a long video. We'll found a new colony and you can see what that looks like, and this sector down here looks like it's quite potentially a good one. We were going to spend some influence. I mean, you can also just go full hostile against them, but in this case we'll take that. And I think next turn we'll be able to potentially annex it. And as or is it now just automatically? Oh, I think the special sectors do just kind of get auto-annexed. Okay, so I don't have to do anything special there. Yeah, it builds roads between them once you've done these, and units move a lot faster among roads, so you don't have to build infrastructure, but infrastructure is a thing in the game. Right, so we'll just end that turn. And I might actually, by the magic of editing, skip ahead a little bit here to the point where we've got a yes, I want to actually annex it to the sector. Yeah, to where we've got the colonizer thing built, because you know we've got a bit of a queue going on there. Okay, so we've got our colony doodad built, and we just have to decide where we're going to actually plonk it down. Now I'm thinking over in this area here, although up here is also a possibility, but as you can see, this is these are sectors where the various factions are based. So we've got I think this is Huaijiang up here, and this is the Paragon guys down here. And you can actually, if you move units to them, you can trade with them to buy additional faction-specific units or mods and upgrades. But in this case, we're not going to do that. We're going to scout out a little over here, and I think possibly this sector here will just put down. It's nice and close, or even maybe in choking fields. Let's do that. Now this sector here does actually have some plant life in it, but it's also got radioactivity, so it's not maybe the ideal place to build a colony. So we've got some new
operations available for priming.
Ops ready for priming as well. We've actually we've got our doctrine that's active that helps with building units, so that's very, very handy. But possibly you get the option to have more than one doctrine available later on as you go down the tech tree. I'm not entirely sure.
Objective completed.
Right, also we that was a random thing, a random quest where we occasionally it'll give you, like, you know, produce X of this, and it's literally just, you know, it pops up as a special thing you can build. So, yeah, we actually have a Paragon guy. They're a bit zombie looking. They look a bit like the ghouls from Fallout 4. But they're nice enough, really. We'll maybe use them as the start of another unit. Also, you know, technically I've left this settlement entirely unguarded for quite a lot of this so far. It doesn't really matter for the tutorial level, but later on, yeah, you do need to have some defensive measures going on. So, is there any quest stuff over here? Right, so no, they won't let us actually go into their territory. They don't like us that much yet. Orders required, we'll just stick them on guard, that's fine. Movement, yes. The lovely environs of choking fields. We'll actually be able to annex some sectors. And we could even be nice and say, or not nice, but we can nicely ask them, we can use our influence to ask them to vacate that sector. Right, that's some of Huaijiang's lot. We're not being particularly active so far. We're just moving around and exploring a bit. And, oh, here we go. This is one of the other factions. Michael Valentine, who looks very swish. That's a very 80s hairdo. That might explain why some of these people have been, you know, around for a very long time, if they've just been going in and out of cryo sleep. Right, so now he's giving me some quests. Okay. And there we go. So it's actually telling me where these various things are. So yeah, we're definitely not doing all this all in the span of one video. Otherwise it'd be a really long video. But yeah, we're getting the colony set up. And let's spend some influence. So bobbity bop. I don't know if that automatically... okay, we need more population before we can annex it to Minton. Which means, okay, I think I fully understand this now. Port 6 isn't actually annexed to Poynton yet, but it can be annexed. The number of sectors entirely relates to... Right, okay, we can't do that either. Entirely relates to the population, basically. Oh, we also have a new hero? Ace Balan! Okay, sure. Use them as the start of a commander of another army. Paragon faction demand. Right, they just want some random cosmite. Sure, we'll give them a little bit. Minton needs production. And we'll get this one more geared around food. We also want to grab some of these sectors as well. I'll just tell them to guard there for the time being. Povington. Should we build a... We'll build one of those. I've made a variant of the Pug, which is more armoured and has sensors, and then we have these new Echo Walk dudes as well. They're quite expensive though. Oh, that's a quest thing, isn't it? So what do we need to do to extinguish the fires? Is that a quest thing, or is that just, you know, a random sector thing that we had to take care of? Possibly it is.
Electronic.
So also researching the actual technologies we need to develop sectors at the same time. I keep thinking it's like Civ and you can click on the name to actually bring up the thing, but no, you have to kind of... If there's units there, you then have to kind of double click past the unit to get to the actual colony screen. So we can go for energy efficient production line. That's fine. Rather the zombie looking sounding guy can come back to that army. And where do we need to go for... When you zoom all the way out, you can't actually quite see, unfortunately. Right. These are like supply caches and whatever, but the rest of it's all the way up there. So, I think this might be a time to wrap up, actually. We've been going for... Okay, nearly an hour and a half. This has turned out to a bit of a ridiculously long video. Yeah, the game is pretty good. I don't know if there's like DLC or whatever planned. I don't think there was any for Age of Wonders 3, but having said that, I might be wrong, actually. I don't know if I've checked. Let me actually look. Okay, yes, I was very wrong. There is DLC for that game, so there's probably going to be some DLC coming out for this game as well. Overall, yeah, it's got some nice touches. If you want yourself a good sci-fi themed turn-based game, then I can definitely point you in the direction of this. There's a lot about it that I rather like. It doesn't grab me in the same way that a Civ game does, or even going back and playing Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, which I very occasionally do. you know, that has a kind of quality that just keeps me playing and playing, and this game doesn't really have that, but I like it all the same. So this has been Age of Wonders Planetfall. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video, and if you have, you can do all the usual things down underneath it, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.